All right. So fresh off the historic win in Georgia, the Democrats have 51 seats to 49 for the Republicans. So congratulations if you are a Democrat. You've won. You've won. Right after that, we have today. We have another senator that has decided that maybe I don't want to be a Democrat anymore. Is it a power grab? Is she really, really committed to working with both sides and being an independent? Here is the full interview, and I want you to decide.
You're here to make a significant announcement.
I've registered as an Arizona independent. I know some people might be a little bit surprised by this, but actually, I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, a growing number of Arizonans and people like me just don't feel like we fit neatly into one party's box or the other. And so, like many across the state and the nation, I've decided to leave that partisan process and really just focus on the work that I think matters to Arizona and to our country, which is solving problems and getting things done.
So your voting record is pretty capital D Democratic. I mean, your views are generally that of a moderate centrist Democrat. How does leaving the party change how you do your job?
Well, I don't think anything will change about how I do my job. Arizonans sent me to the United States Senate to be an independent voice for our state, and I'll continue doing that. What I think is important about this decision and this move is that I'll be able to show up to work every day as an independent and not be, stuck into one party's demands of following without thinking. And as we've seen in recent years, both parties have created this kind of requirement or a pull towards the edges that you just unthinkingly support all of one party's viewpoints. It's made it difficult to find folks who are willing to work together and solve problems. Now, as you know, Jake, we've been able to do a lot of bipartisan work over the last couple of years, and I'm incredibly proud of that. And I think it's important for folks across my state and frankly across the country to say, yep, there's someone that's kind of like me, doesn't fit neatly into one box or the other, but is standing up for their values, for what they believe in, and is doing it without trying to get one over on the other party or beat the other guy.
So let's talk about practically what this means, because you're the chair of at least 2 subcommittees. You're a member of a number of important committees, including Veterans Affairs. Does this mean that you're no longer going to be in those positions because you're no longer a Democrat and the Democrats control the Senate?
Well, I intend to maintain my position on my committees and keep doing the work that I've been doing for Arizona. So I don't think that things will change in terms of how I operate or the work that I do in the United States Senate.
So ever since Senator Warnock was reelected earlier this week, the balance of power right now is 51 Democrats or 51 votes for the Democratic Party. That includes 2 independents, Angus King of Maine and Bernie Sanders of Vermont. But that's 51-49. What you're doing today doesn't change that. It's still basically going to be 51-49.
Well, I know you have to ask that question, Jake, but that's kind of a DC thing to worry about. What I'm really focused on is just making sure that I'm doing what I think comports with my values and the values of Arizonans. So when I come to work each day, it'll be the same. I'm going to still come to work and hopefully serve on the same committees I've been serving on and continue to work well with my colleagues of both political parties. And I'm not really spending much time worrying about what the mechanics look like for Washington, D.C. And to be honest, Jake, I don't think anyone in Arizona is caring about that either. So I don't think things will change much for me, and I don't think things will change much for Arizonans.
It's also an unusual time because the Democrats in Washington feel really good right now. They actually picked up a Senate seat and picked up some governor seats. It's the first time the party that controls the White House actually gained Senate and governor seats since 1934. The wave that was supposed to come, the red wave, didn't actually happen. Kevin McCarthy, or the Republicans, maybe Kevin McCarthy will be the speaker, but either way, the Republicans will control the House, but not with the margins they were expecting. This is going to disappoint a lot of Democrats, and they're also going to feel like they don't understand. Why would you do this at a time when the Democratic Party is having a good week?
Well, I think folks at home in Arizona have known me for a very long time, and they know who I am. I've always been someone who is focused on getting results, getting things done, and I've never fit neatly into any party box. I've never really tried. I don't want to, and I think that's reflective of how most Arizonans live. You know, Arizonans who aren't affiliated with either party are often the largest group of voters in Arizona. And even those who are affiliated with parties often find that they don't fit 100% into that box. The reality is that when we get up in the morning, we don't really think about partisanship. Most people don't wake up and think, okay, well, I've got to get this Democratic breakfast on the table. I got to get in my Republican car and go to work. That's not how real life is. I know it is in this town, but in the rest of the country, people are just living their lives. And so they're not thinking about who's winning and who's losing, but that's what the parties are thinking about, is how do we get one over on this guy? How do we, ensure that we're punishing them? How do we continue to win? And what I'm really focused on, and I think the proof is in the pudding of the work I've done in the Senate, I'm really focused on getting results, like actually solving problems. And so, removing myself from the partisan structure, not only is it true to who I am and how I operate, I also think it'll provide a place of belonging for many folks across the state and the country who also are tired of the partisanship.
Well, there's going to be a lot of noise about this from the Democrats, from progressives, from the left. You know this, that because of your position working with Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia to push back on some of the efforts, the legislative efforts, and change them and moderate them, you've already been a target of the left, and people have been very critical of you. They're going to call you every name in the book after this comes out. They're going to call you a traitor. They're going to call you an ingrate. What are you going to say?
Well, I think I'll do what I always do, Jake, which is keep doing the work that I know is important for my state. I just not worried about folks who may not like this approach. What I am worried about is continuing to do what's right for my state. And there are folks who certainly don't like my approach. We hear about it a lot. But the proof is in the pudding. In the last few years in the Senate, as you and I have just mentioned, I've been honored to lead historic efforts from infrastructure to gun violence prevention to protecting religious liberty and helping LGBT families feel secure, to the CHIPS and Science bill, to the work we've done on veterans issues. The list is really long. And so I think that the results speak for themselves. It's okay if some people aren't comfortable with that approach.
Wow.
Well, there you have it. Is she really interested in being independent, working with both sides of the aisle? Is she trying to be a kingmaker where her and Joe Manchin will then control the flow of the Senate? Again, like I told you before, if you have two senators that want to buck the flow, you don't have that 51 majority anymore. It's not even 50-50. You have a two senators that really can team up and control how the Democrats put forth bills, basically how they conduct business. So we don't know. We don't know if she wants to work with the other party and work with, reach across the aisle and do good. We don't know that. But let's give her the benefit of the doubt. But one thing, Senator, one thing on this show, this business show, we're going to put you to the test.